San Diego news organizations got a fake press release from the U.S. Attorney's Office last week that claimed local pharmacies would be shut down because of drug abuse. Since then, we've learned the hoax came about in a workshop sponsored by the San Diego Museum of Art. Americans for Safe Access, a political activist group based in San Diego, admits responsibility. Here to talk about the potential legal ramifications of the hoax is Glenn Smith, constitutional law professor at California Western School of Law. Glenn, the activist group that's responsible for this hoax, they're under investigation. Do we know what for?
Well, all we know, I'm not part of the investigation or haven't ever worked as a prosecutor, but from what I read from the press release, the U.S. Attorney talked about under investigation for the crime of impersonating a federal official, specifically a federal law enforcement official, which is a federal crime.
So they have to make that point, and we'll talk about that a little bit further. But first, I want to say that we actually asked the Safe Access group, the Art Museum, workshop attorneys to come onto the show, and they did decline a request for an interview. The workshop was run by a political activist group called Yes Men. It's not their first time fooling the media. Take a look at this clip when a reporter questions an activist posing as a high-level HUD official.
There are some saying that this is a farce, that you're not truly with HUD, and that this is not an actual announcement.
Well, they can say whatever they want. Who are these people?
Where is your office?
In Washington.
Where in Washington?
He just joined the agency from France. He's from
France.
Yeah, he's been a special attaché to the Department of the Interior in France. Why are you so skeptical?
So Glenn, impersonating a HUD official, and here in San Diego, obviously a fake letter from the U.S. Attorney's Office. Are hoaxes like these legal?
Well, as you won't surprise you, it really depends in part on the context. Certainly the literal crime says impersonating a federal official and taking one action, even a minor action, consistent with that is enough for the crime. When you have, though, the element of political speech and outrageousness and the kinds of falsity and drama that we traditionally in First Amendment law allow room for, it gets a little more complicated.
Tell us about political speech. Where is that leeway? Where is that boundary?
Well, there are no absolutes in freedom of speech and rarely in law. So certainly you have a right to make false statements. You have a right to pretend. Stephen Colbert has the right to pretend to be someone in order to make a political point. But when it collides against a law, like impersonating a federal officer, or nobody has the right, for example, to extort money from someone under false pretenses, even if it's for a political reason. So it's a gray area.
What about the San Diego Museum of Art? They paid for this workshop. Are they legally responsible in any way?
That's an even more complicated question. Theoretically, there might be aiding and abetting liability under the law that makes it a crime to impersonate an official, but there's presumably a lot of intent requirements and other requirements. The more you walk back from the actual crime to people that may have facilitated it in some way, it gets even more complicated.
What's going to be the major issues in trying to prosecute a case like this?
Well, again, I'm not a prosecutor, but I would just think that they would go through three basic questions that any prosecutor would. And the first is, what are the facts here? And that's why, without knowing the investigation, you can't really comment. But are the facts enough to make a sound claim that I would be willing to even charge and potentially take to a jury? And then there is this additional sort of constitutional question. I think in the recent Stolen Valor Act about falsely claiming to have a military medal, I think the Supreme Court signaled that they would allow this kind of a law. But whenever you get in this free speech area, you got a question. But then there's the ultimate question, which is it worth the time of the office, and is it worth maybe making sympathetic figures out of these people who have been annoying my office to begin with?
Do you see any room for this type of political hoax activism in the political arena? Is there a place for this in our society?
Oh, well, there is. I mean, that's what makes this somewhat complicated. Not this particular thing necessarily, but there's a time-honored tradition of hoaxes, or stunts, the Boston Tea Party, etc., that has been recognized and to a certain extent protected in free speech law. But on the other hand, you've got to protect people's legitimate interests not to be falsely parting with their money or misled or give information to people they think are federal officials. So it's a delicate balance. but there definitely is a room for falsity and hoaxes and satire, and hopefully there always will be.
Okay, we will be following this. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.